Something out of nothing, the culture grew from breaks. B-boys with fat laces helping DJs carry crates. 12 inches with the name covered up, 45 black with tape. Needle dropping on the get down part on the one, never late. Moonwalk look like skates, time is infinite like the 8. Built to destroy the devil's world, God body at the gate. In God we trust, the dollars we lust, catching crumbs off the cake. Now we bop to a beat on walls of concrete in Northern State. It was 88, we was victims of a scheme. It was all just a dream, but now my homie is a fiend. We live for the culture, but we kill for the cream. Trying to make the street light up, stay on your toes, Billie Jean.
Now how can you justify what you've taken culturally? You love to lie, to hide the truth. Do you really think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me?
It's like hip to the hibbit, flow liquid like exhibit. It'll create the culture with every breath as I live it. They try to prohibit, but I'm the master to pivot. No gimmicks on point like a digit. I'm like Malcolm, ready to rock it. Get your hand out my pocket. Everybody the gatekeeper, but y'all forgot to lock it. Swear by culture freedom, I got more fights than Tubbs and Crockett. Now my boy Elroy, out to space like space's rockets. Truth be told, we was crushed from the cold. Niggas getting high off the dust from Sugar Hill. Now the truth gets sold with strippers on the pole. The light, just with rappers for the thrill. Get the rush from off one pill with flash was on the wheels. Singing white lines with my brothers of folding bills. Slinging white dimes when Uncle Joe wrote that bill. Around 94, fucking around with Hillary and Bill.
How can you justify what you've taken culturally? You love to lie, to hide the truth. Do you really think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me?
It was go and tell. Now y'all go and tell. Hop on the gram, look, show and tell. No ethics and no codes, just cut the pie a la mode. Spinning red whites now lights the block like a strobe. Behold, the pale horse that he rode. Here to bring death with guns to unload. Conspiracy to conspire, there's a theory on the wire. When Cohen is a priest whose doctrine is the liar. Here to rob the hood, I keep it tucked like the friar. Grew into a man following rappers I admire. No more b-boys in the cypher, no more DJs catching breaks. And everybody in the trap with 45s wrapped in tape. The culture has been raped, pimped out, and straight flooded. Just like the Bronx in the 70s, everything gutted. Trusted, rusted, busted and disgusted. We shoulda shut it down when Chuck said not to trust it.
How can you justify what you've taken culturally? You love to lie, to hide the truth. Do you really think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're, oh yeah. Think that you can do what I think that you can do what I do. You think that you can do what I do. You think that you can do what I do. Tell me, do you think you're me? Tell me, do you think you're me? You know you ain't me.
Yeah, y'all see what it is. Stolen Art by your man Hakeem Green featuring Carl Thomas. You know, I got a bunch of videos that I start my shows off with. You know, I got to keep it Hakeem Green or, you know, the algorithm will yank my joint. You know what I mean? Take the stream off the channel. So I got to keep it Hakeem Green. So I try to line up material that is in line with the guests that I have. And that joint is called Stolen Art because the Hakeem Green Show next guest is one of the keepers of the art, my brother, Wise Intelligent. What's up, Wise?
Peace and love. Science.
Oh,
That's the
peace out,
signs.
God. Well, how are you today on November 20th,
Fantastic.
2025?
I'm fantastic,
Yeah.
I'm
Yo,
above ground.
my wife hit me today. She said, "You know what you never do on your show?" I said, "What's that?" She said, "You never ask your guests how they're doing. You just bring them on and hop right into the interview." Start the interview off with "How are you doing, my brother?"
You see, you see the value our women add immediately.
Immediately.
You know what I mean, without
Yeah.
even
So
thinking about it.
yeah, man. Like all my graphics, all my promo, the flyers, the logos. That's all my wife, man. So
See,
when you say the value women bring,
and
that and more.
they give birth to everything, man.
Yeah, for sure.
They're creators.
Absolutely. So yeah, my bro, it's a lot going on in the world today, and there's very few folks that I like to tap in with, to get their perspective. But before we get into the, politics of today, I want to learn about wise, intelligent, poor, righteous teachers. We had a conversation way back when on the Madison TV show, but for this particular audience, I think they would get a lot out of knowing your journey as an MC coming out of Trenton, New Jersey.
Yeah, no doubt. Trenton, 80s, 1980s. Corner kids,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of street time, single parent household.
Mm-hmm.
Hip hop, 82. 82, 83. Just every element of hip hop
Yeah.
was just magnetic. So I was graffiti. I was a writer. I was writing graffiti. And breakdance, everything that hip hop was, except DJ, and that's the only thing that I
Really?
didn't do was
Really?
DJ. That was the
You ever
only thing. And
tried?
I saw Rakim DJing the other day, and I was like pissed. I was pissed. I
The
can't even put it.
multi-talented, the
You
God.
know what I mean? That's the only element I missed was DJing.
Did you ever try though?
I did, but it was just DJs around me who were just so good at it. I just like, I'm gonna let y'all do it. Culture freedom. You know what I mean? They cutting behind their backs. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm good on that. I'm gonna let y'all do that.
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I grew up
Shaheed,
around. Yeah.
Culture Freedom, Father Shaheed, both just sharp DJs. Culture did every element. Culture did every element. Culture was all over hip hop like that. So yeah, I started out in Trenton, New Jersey, man. Trenton is a small, red lined, 7.5 square mile box of concentrated poverty.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So of course, hip hop was going to resonate with us. Gave us a voice. Gave us a way to express ourselves. A medium. Gave us a medium when no media would listen, no media would have us. So hip hop was our media platform. And at that time, I was young, man. I was living in a homeless shelter. You know what I mean? And I was dealing with, looking back on it in retrospect, anxiety, social anxiety, all kinds of shit, that was undiagnosed. But I wrote my way out of it. You know what I mean? Like hip hop,
Right.
like writing. Writing got me out of it. And hip hop ciphers. Because you have to spit. You have to spit. It's communal. It's communal. So that community, that hip hop community, kind of got me out of certain boxes. So hip hop is a powerful tool. When its creative force is harnessed properly.
Right. So we start the show off with stolen art. You just talked about art as expression, helping you through your younger years channel energy, whether misguided or traumatized or oppressed, depressed, repressed, all of the forces of this oppressive system on young black men, and us having the cultural tool, platform, medium of hip hop. Talk about how more so, right now we got the internet, we got YouTube, Instagram. Somebody got something to say, you just hop right on and you just get in. But back in the day, in the late 1900s,
Late 1900s.
Late 1900s. You know, when you had to, be involved in the culture, it was live and direct. You had to go battle, you had to go break dance, you had to go put your art on paper and have your comrades admire or, critique, your art. Like that's something that's real. Talk about that journey and hip hop as that type of tool for you.
Yeah, like I said, hip hop it was a medium for expression for us. So engaging it daily, it was everyday life. It was everything that we were, everything that we lived for. We woke up, we went to sleep. Hip hop, it was the first thing we wanted to do when we got up in the morning, and the last thing we did before going to bed. My walls in my room was all tagged up. In middle school, the sisters, the young sisters used to come and get me to tag their notebooks. So I was in the back of the class tagging notebooks, doing very little work, but but highly engaged in hip hop culture. On every level, man, on every level. So yes, going around, culture used to set up battles. Culture used to set up battles. Culture used to be like, yo, my brother's nice. You know what I mean? And I'll come through, and I was usually, the youngest or looking young, so as wouldn't take me seriously at first on face value. They were taking me on face value. It always worked in my advantage. It worked in my advantage though.
Yeah.
But just battling heads, battling heads in the neighborhood, it was a part of it. In fact, culture set up the battle with Jay-Z, in my neighborhood in Divine Land, Projects.
Hold. Before we get there, right? We talking about these early battles, these early examples of hip hop in Trenton that you were involved in, whether it was graffiti writing, rapping, right? Talk about some of maybe the crews or folks who didn't get shine in Trenton.
Those are my first influences.
Yeah.
Those are my first influences. It was several hip hop crews in Trenton and MCs. Omar Superstar, comes to mind first and foremost. One of the illest lyricists.
Yes.
One of the, Omar Superstar, backed by scripture. I could write a rhyme like I'm painting a picture. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute. He's writing rhymes that I can see. And so Omar Superstar, Ammunition Posse, Ammunition Posse, every MC in their crew was nice. They call themselves AMO, and every MC was named after a firearm. So it was Diamond D, Uzi, Trey 8, that was their names, they were serious. They were serious. Diamond was one of the illest MCs, So it was a lot of crews, Godfather,
What years were these, right? What
this was
era?
85 to 90. These crews were prevalent even earlier than that, like 82, 83, General Lee, Charlie Bean, Chase. It was a lot of MCs around the way that really influenced, that you would go to a block party. You would go on, on the basketball court where the parties were, and they'd be playing, they'd be spitting, these were the MCs, man. These were the MCs that we came up on. The God Squad, Coach's crew before Poor Righteous Teachers.
Wow.
The God Squad was heavy.
God Squad.
Yeah, the God Squad. Rajan, MC Rajan, rest in peace. Rajan. They were just ill. They were ill. So it was a lot of crews. It was a lot of crews coming up in Trenton, that really resonated with me. I wanted to be like all of them. I wanted to be like all of them, That was my first influences.
We got Trenton, which is South Jersey. And
Central
Jersey more? Okay.
Central
Jersey. But, that's when I think of Trenton, I think of Philly.
Everybody do.
Right. Like everything, Trenton, Camden, like Trenton on down
Yeah,
is like,
Camden in South Jersey, Camden,
it's,
Atlantic City,
how far
all
is Camden
that's
from
south.
drive from Trenton?
Depends on how fast you're driving, I
Half
guess.
hour?
But,
That's
but
like
yeah,
half hour?
it's about a half.
About a half
You know,
hour? Yeah.
I can get to New York faster than I can get to Atlantic City from Trenton.
Really? Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy. So that said, I'm from East Orange. Coming up, the radio for us is New York, 98.7 Kids, BLS. The radio for Trenton was what?
Philadelphia, some New York. We could pull New York, on a good day.
Right. But then, where I'm getting at is the influences outside of Trenton on Trenton. For us, East Orange, like I said, it was 98.7 Kiss. It was BLS. So it was a heavy influence coming over from the city, from New York City.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right. Right. So
New
Trenton.
York, we were heavy on New York.
Uh-huh.
We were heavy on New York. We were heavy on Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So, Trenton has went everywhere. Trenton has went everywhere because we ain't had no major radio stations. We ain't had no major record companies. We ain't had none of that.
Right.
So we used to go where we had to go to be where we needed to be.
Yeah. When people outside of the tri-state area think of Jersey, they always kind of like lump us in with somebody else, and understandably so, but at the same time, Jersey had its own kind of scene happening. And
Absolutely.
that's why it was important for me to ask you about the influences around you in Trenton, to kind of juxtapose. Yeah, it's New York, it's Philly, but Trenton got something to say as well. You say Culture Freedom brought Jay down to Trenton.
But Jay was living in Trenton.
Oh, he was living in Trenton.
Yeah, he went to Trenton Central High School for a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, he went to Trenton Central High School for a little bit. He was living out East Trenton on Bruin, off of Bruins. Yeah, out that way.
That's crazy. Yeah. People don't hear that about that story much.
Right.
I don't hear him talk about Trenton, like living in Trenton. I just put him in Brooklyn.
Yeah. He mentioned in some of his rhymes, some of his first Johnson, his first joint. I believe he mentioned on Reasonable Doubt album. He does say some things about some of the heads that he was rocking with over there, like Smurf, Valencia Square. he shouted them out, but yeah, absolutely. So his guy, his brother, they were real tight. He brought Jay around. And Gary King, Booby brought him out the way, with Fine Land Projects. Yeah, absolutely.
And then there was a battle, huh?
Oh, yes, sir.
It gives the details, my guy.
Well,
what was the? I would have loved to have been there.
It's MC or it's MC versus MC. It's an MC and an MC. You know what I mean? It's an MC and an MC. We went in. We only did one verse, really.
Okay.
We only did one verse. He did a verse. I did a verse.
So it wasn't really a battle. It was just more like a back. It's just a display of skill, or was it a battle?
Yeah, it was a battle. It was intended to be a battle.
Okay.
It was intended to be a battle, but I don't remember it going past a verse or two. I don't remember it going past a verse or two. I don't remember. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the whole battle. I was talking to somebody recently about how I felt battle rap has kept hip hop on life support for like the last 15, 20 years, just in terms of when there's like big rap battles, especially, but just the culture of it, the nature of it, the creativity in it, the memory that's involved in it, the skill that's involved in it, people really working hard at their craft to outdo the next person. And there's other things about battle rap I wish was different, but in terms of the art form itself, I really appreciate battle rap. How do you feel?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I just feel like any hip hop movements outside of the mainstream have held hip hop down.
Yeah.
Have kept hip hop, vibrant. Hip hop is not dependent on mainstream platforms. You know what I mean? It never was, and it never will be. So hip hop was always steady as far as I saw it. It was always steady. A lot of underground or independent artists that were rocking. They were rocking. Doing shows, touring. Getting it in. It's the mainstream is the mainstream. The mainstream is the mainstream. So battle rap for me falls in that category of independent artistry that the mainstream doesn't dictate its outcomes. Where streams don't determine who's the dopest. Who major label backing doesn't determine how many people see you. You just gotta be dope. That's the only requirement. Be dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the independent has been holding hip hop down for a minute. Including the battle rappers.
The battle rappers, yeah. And because they're not making records, it's not about rap records. It's about the cipher and the energy, the live presentation. I'm like, okay. So like when we look at hip hop, we get trapped into record sales. And have a conversation with Chris Gotti about this, in that it's so much bigger than the music business. And if we understood that, we'd be able to utilize the culture more effectively. What's your thoughts on that?
Of course, it's big. Of course, it's bigger than the mainstream. It's bigger than the music.
But looking at it specifically as a resource to be utilized, the capital that's involved in our culture, in our expression, and our just what we bring to an economy, what we bring to how people think, our ability to change minds, our ability to add value to things, us being custodians of that a lot better than we have been.
Yeah, it's infrastructure. It's a matter of building structure. For the creative energy to flow in a direction that supports the results and outcomes that we desire for our communities. And that's something that we haven't got about the business of doing. We continue to function within a structure that doesn't have our best interest at heart, where, like we say, all structure has an underlying inclination towards movement. And the current music structure, this is a structure that has existed since sharecropping, and it's a sharecropper system. It was created by the same people that created the sharecropping system. The exact same people created the music industry, and it functions on the same premise. So in that structure, anything that we create in that structure, the energy will flow the exact same way. And it will keep all of the artists and the community in a reactive, responsive orientation that keeps us in survival mode. We're constantly reacting and responding to the circumstances created by that underlying structure. Until we disrupt that structure and stop participating in it, create our own structure, we'll continue to produce the same outcomes over and over again, regardless to what the platform is doing or suggesting. Like, for example, right now you have labels are moving away from signing artists on the way that they did in the past. Now they want to do distribution deals. So now they're moving into a model where all the artists will be independent, right? All the artists will be independent, and they'll provide this distribution thing with an 85-15% split. And artists on face value are going to say, "Yo, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. 85-50, I'll take that." But what's happening is when they get millions of independent artists locked into these agreements, they're going to take all that data, and they're going to sell it to AI platforms, to train the AI to replace you altogether. So next time you hear an artist, at just skill level, it won't even be a human being.
Yeah.
It'll be a bot. So yeah, I think that $20 billion industry, and the opportunity to leverage some of that, considering less than 1% of those business receipts come back to the communities that create the culture. It could do a lot of good. It could have done a lot of good, but we don't control the means of production anymore. We don't control the structure. It's not our structure. We have to create a new structure. And it's not whether we can do it or not. It's, are we committed to doing it? And I don't think we're committed to doing it. I think the Black community is a myth. I think it's an aberration or something. It doesn't even exist. Doesn't even exist. I mean, Black skin and oppression is not enough to unify. It's just not. And that seems to be the only thing we have in common, especially those of us who are who perceive themselves to be winning in this paradigm. There's no loyalty to the group. There's no sense of obligation to the group at all. The individualism is it's hyper individualism. They say rugged individualism. It's hyper individualism. So what happens is the demands and interests of the group are usually sacrificed for individual choice, for the perception of individual choice, whether it be political or economic. So building that structure is going to take a few good men. Or one woman, or one woman, but I just feel like there's no collective social theory.
No,
there's no, and a lot of the individuals in position don't have the commitment that's required to make something happen like that. So yeah, but yes, to answer the question, I think yes, hip hop is definitely an underutilized resource.
Yeah.
For the empowerment of community, but I a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago, I was building with Barbara Plata, Dr. Plata, Dr. Amos Wilson's partner and editor. And I'm sitting in his apartment, and I asked him. I said, "So, how do you think hip hop can be used?" I asked him the same question. I asked him, "How do you think we can, how can we use hip hop to help, at least shift the collective consciousness?" He said, "No, we can't hip hop our way out of this one."
No.
He said, "No, it's not going to happen." He said,
Right.
Heads got to start reading some books. You have to start reading. They have to start, reading some books to shift their consciousness, to orient them politically. There's no political orientation. I mean, you see it, man. You see it, man. Nikki on the news, Nikki at the UN. You got Pharrell saying all kind of wild shit. You know what I mean? It's like, some people just need to shut the fuck up.
Just some people just need to shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, yo. But because it's indicative of the level.
So just for full transparency, right? People know I vote blue. I vote blue. I'm not blue. And I don't subscribe to being a party. I don't subscribe to that. I subscribe to how do we best utilize any of these fucking levers to push something forward, anything forward. Not anything, but shit, it's dire out here right now. And because we're not creating our own resources, we don't have our own vehicles, we don't have our own means of distribution, manufacturing, we don't own anything. We need an investment. And for people to sacrifice the investment because of political affiliation and end up the very same people who said, basically shut up and dribble, when it suits them, hop in front of a mic to push another agenda that's like openly about destruction. So, you know how Malcolm used to say, the wolf versus the fox? And the answer to the question is they're both canine. They're both dogs, right? They're both dogs. You take them at both of them, you take them at what they are, dogs, they're canines, or whatever they are. All right, one is sly, one is up front to let you know who he is. Right. I'd rather fight the fox. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. You know,
Like when you talk about the means of destruction, like who has the power to destroy? I'd rather fight the fox. I'd rather think my way out of this if I had to. And I think that's the choice between Democrat and Republican that we have.
yeah. My view on that is this. I think that the clothing. I think one of them is the wolf, and one of them is the fox. When it's time for them to be the wolf or the fox, I think they switch the clothing. I think throughout history, the clothing has always switched. The good guy, bad cop. One of them played a good cop. The other played a bad cop. You know, you go back. When we look at the history is implicit. You know,
It is what it is.
it's empirical on the fact that at one time it was the Democrats who were passing the policies that were disenfranchising us and were aggressive on the Nazism, and we know that the Republican Party has done the same. Again, we have to function within the best collective interests of the group, and I don't think that that's where we are. I think that the whole political process, Democrats, Republican, two-party system, that's the underlying structure that we're not going to get any new results out of that. We're not going to get any new results because that structure, all structure has an underlying inclination towards movement. So anything that we do in that structure, the movement is directed by the structure itself. It's going to keep producing the same results until we create a new thing for us. For example, nobody ever asked who the Amish voted for. Who's the Amish community voting for?
Who's the Seminole community voting for?
Trump.
Are they? I don't know.
Nah, I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm just saying though. If I had to guess, I would say Trump. But
I would probably say nobody.
But the point is,
the Amish, when you have community, when you have your own system, when you have like the Seminole community down here, you know about Florida and the Seminole community with what they got going on. But anyway.
I just think that we're looking at it all wrong. We're looking at it all wrong. We feel like we have to follow these processes and systems. We have to function within these systems in order to function at all, which is not true. It's a myth. We need to create community. We need to create community. We need to, like for example, hip hop. Hip hop. Creating platforms in hip hop that are community owned and operated. Like, for example, a record label that manufactures music, physical music, vinyl, everything, and do the digital aggregation and things of that nature. But it's run by kids from the community. Kids from the community are producing the music. They're aggregating the digital content. They're doing the graphic design. They're doing everything that a record company do. Right. Anything that you would do to need to put a record out. But the community has equity in it, right? So now the community has equity. So any record that blows up, that comes out of the community is being funded by it. Is being funded. It's receiving funds from it. So the community comes in like an LP, like a limited partner or a shareholder, and that's something that doesn't happen. That's something that doesn't happen,
And it's very easy to do.
Yes, it's very easy to do.
It's very simple.
Recording studios, everything. I just don't think there's enough community focus. There's not enough community.
Well, not to put all the onus on you, that's wise. Well, it was a very clear-cut example of something that's easy to do. That's very it's applicable in so many circumstances. Um, so communication is community. The communication. How do we get that message to the people that need to hear it? How just in terms of thinking in more communal terms, where, well, let me not say that because I do know examples of that happening, and sometimes it don't turn out so well. But how do we create those models where that's the normal operation in our community? Is the community owns it?
Yeah, we just do it the same way the Black Panther Party set up the clinics, the same way the Black Panther Party set up the breakfast programs, the food drives, all of that, all the food systems and all that. That it's the same thing. We have to just do it. We have to do it. These are some of the projects that we're working on. These are some of the things that we're working on. Building these type of platforms where the community controls the means of production. And I think that's a start. We have to start. We have to start somewhere, and I think that we can start with art and culture. You look at the rest of the world. You look at they got artists still going platinum with vinyl in Asia.
Really?
Think about that for a second. Selling physical copies of music, going platinum on physical.
You got to connect. You got to connect with our product.
And I say that to say, a lot of other countries, outside of the U.S., never gave up on physical music because that's an economy, right?
Yeah.
It's economy. It's manufacturing involved. It's jobs. It's all kinds of things involved with that process, and the artist remains empowered because now the artist can still sell music out of the trunk, right? The U.S. has duped everybody into this.
Yeah, it's a bubble.
It's a circular economy, a bubble that's popped on mainstream rap.
Yeah.
It's popped. Because their plan is to replace all of the artists with AI.
With AI, so the tools that we have available, technology is the gift and the curse, and then AI and how that fits in. I almost feel like we're feeding our own destruction because it's like AI is here to replace human activity. So I don't know how you feel about that. I know it's almost like a necessary evil right now. But
I think AI is a patsy. It's a scapegoat. Look at the language we're using. We're saying AI is about to disenfranchise artists. AI is about to take people's jobs. AI is about to replace humans and create this human redundancy, right? But it's not AI. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. Capitalism by any other name is still capitalism. AI is doing everything they say AI is doing and about to do is what capitalism has aimed to do since its inception.
Yeah.
Which, its number one nemesis was labor. Capitalism has always wanted to defeat labor. And AI is now helping that happen. But they're going to say, oh, it's AI, it's AI, it's AI. And now they're creating this language around AI. Oh, AI is getting out of control. It may gain singularity. It may it may start thinking for itself. And, it's
well, the talk, I don't know how close they are to accomplishing any of this. But the talk was Palantir and being able to use cryptocurrency and the blockchain to lock everything in to their AI systems. That was the talk. Maybe
but then they blame AI. Then they can say AI got out of control when they do something that devastates large population segments on the planet. They can say, oh, AI got out of control. When it's them. It's the same. it's the same people, and blockchain and crypto and the technology, it's a technology. It's like anything else. It's used according to the user, how the user apply, right? So can we use it? Yes, we can use it. We can build with it. We can build things with it, that we can use. I don't like to leave no piece on the chessboard unused. I feel like we have to use all the pieces on the board, and I think it can be utilized, however, the way they're using it, they're going to continue to use it that way. And that's their aim. That's what capitalism do. It comes in and it devours. So at the end of the day, we have to build outside of their systems. We have to build our own systems. It's like, I think it was Buckminster Fuller. He said, you don't change things by fighting the existing paradigm. You change things by creating a new paradigm that renders the existing paradigm obsolete.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do. That's what we haven't done yet. That's what we haven't done yet. We're focusing too much on. We're focusing on the people in power a little too much.
Right. We should be creating our own challenge.
We can build. We can build. I mean, we got people out here who making a lot of money. Black people who are making a lot of money, but they're only black when their blackness is impeding them from making more money. You know what I mean? It's like, that's when they become black. They become black when when DEI get cut. DEI get cut. Now they black because they like, hey, my products ain't in that store anymore. I need to protest. Now I need to protest. Because I can't get my products in this place, or I can't get this promotion in this space. So it's whack. It's whack. So we have to do it. We have to do it, man. We have to do it, and that's been my attitude, my energy. I stay out of the. I've stayed out of the conversations. I don't get into conversations with heads. I don't try to hang out with heads that way. You know what I mean? I already know. I'm like, how they say, Santa Claus make the list, checking it twice.
I'm trying to figure it out. I already know. It's about how we execute it, and that's about it.
Yeah, I already made the list of all the heads that I know ain't on this type of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people not on this type of time. You say certain things and they turned off. They're turned off immediately when the conversation is black. And I'm black as fuck. I'm black as fuck, man. And I don't make no bones about that.
I don't even understand that, especially from black people.
I don't skirt that conversation. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
So I already know who I can have this conversation with. I know who I can build with, who I can't build with, and I leave it at that. I leave it at that, and I keep pushing. We're doing some things. We're doing some things, and there's a lot of good things happening, though. Don't get it fucked up. Don't get it twisted. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great things happening. A lot of people doing a lot of wonderful things.
You've helped out a lot with 24 Hours Apiece, and you saw that from baby to where it is now, and that's just persistence and making something happen. And people telling me no, and it's like, nah. People want to see peace, love, unity. They be having fun. People want to be a part of that, and there's a way to create something that's effective, and just good, just a good feeling. Don't have to be so, locked in on the politics, but everything is political. And, even not being political has political ramifications.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's when I'm meaning hip hop culture, rappers get used to push certain narratives, it's so frustrating. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. You got to just do the work and keep your head down, stay forward, stay focused. But how do we reach these people so they understand what's what? Because Nikki jumped off a cliff with that one.
Honestly, man, some people just don't give a fuck. That's just that. And we got to come to terms with that. Some people don't care. Some people don't care. Some people think we got it fucked up. You know what I mean? And I'm good with that. And I am good with that. And I think that lines have to be drawn. Lines have to be drawn. I know what I can't get water from a rock. I can't get water from rocks. I'm not even going to attempt to. I'm not even going to attempt to. Again, and you look at hip hop culture, right? You look at hip hop culture and what's prevailed over the past 30 years, maybe 25 years, 20 years easy. 20, 25 years, 25, 30 years, man. You look at what's prevailed, and it's been the mentality of crack culture. It's been the crack mentality. All of the business that's been done. The black rap record label owners, they function like drug dealers. Yep. They function like drug dealers. They slid the same lopsided contracts across the table to black artists who come from the same neighborhoods they come from. It's like they gave them the same contracts that was handed to them, same contracts that were handed to black people for the past 100 years. Black heads got into positions of power and they function just like oppressors, giving them the same contracts, doing the same exact things. Nothing changed. Crack mentality, and it is pervasive, and it was pervasive. It was the logic. That was the logic. That was the logic and the language. And then from there, it moved into, the gangbanger culture. That mentality started to prevail, and that's what the mainstream wanted to do. That's what they wanted to do. That's what corporations wanted to push for again, political reasons, because everything is political, right? So that's where they went with it. That's where they went with it. And the heads that we talking about, I'm not trying to appeal to them at all, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's like Marcus Garvey said, I'm not trying to take everybody back to Africa, because some of y'all are no good here and you'll be no good there. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we have to know who's who and what's what. We have to call a spade. We have to say exactly what it is. And we're not going to be able to create anything, because creativity and creating, requires that we acknowledge reality for what it is, exactly what it is, and not lie to ourselves. Because art and creation is an authentic thing. It's rooted in authenticity and integrity. So you have to tell yourself the truth. You have to be absolutely true to yourself at all times, and in order to create anything real, so you have to, you can't lie about the reality, right? Because at the end of the day, when we creating, we're looking at a result that we want. We want to create this result in the world. And then we're looking at where we are in contrast to where we want to be. And that distance, that space, that's tension. That's tension, but that's the tension that we have to use to create that result. But that tension, we won't be able to harness that tension if we're not honest with ourselves, because we won't get a clear picture of what that distance is, between where we are and where we want to be. So we have to be honest about where we are in this reality. And again, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to do it.
Talking about waste of time, the different conversations around hip hop over the last few years, very divisive conversations about who created what and what percentage of who had what percentage of what. And, that was a very unfortunate time. I hope we're past it. I don't know if you were able to tap in, or whether you were even interested in that conversation, or how you felt about it. I think your perspective on things is valued. I tend to lean toward unity, especially when it comes to Black people and how many variations of Black people there are. But I don't know how you feel
about
the conversation about what community had what percentage of what hip hop, like 50-50, Puerto Rican, Black, Jamaican, Caribbean, foundational Black American, what percentage of who had what percentage of what.
It's wild. Hip hop is black music.
Period.
Hip hop is black music. I mean, uh, all that other shit, all the other stuff it has is talking about. You know what I mean? It's like hip hop is a continuity of culture. It's a continuity of culture. It's not. It didn't come out of a vacuum. Hip hop didn't come out of a vacuum. Hip hop is black culture. It's black music. That's what it is. Just like jazz, just like blues, just like all the others. That's what it is. You know, whatever that means. If you don't consider yourself black, that's you. You know, if you're not black, that's you. That's you. But hip hop is black music, man. It's black music, and I'm standing on that. You know, I'm standing on that. You know, it's black music, man.
So I think the same thing is black music. My definition of who black people are seems to be broader than some, because Caribbean influences, I think, have a very important contribution to the culture. To
Man,
the
listen to my music.
I
mean, listen to my music. I mean, hip hop is black music, man. It's black music. You know, but I think it's a. I don't think the conversation is even worthwhile. You know, I don't think the discussion is worthwhile. You know, at the end of the day, it's easy to make 50% of the poor people kill the other 50%. You know what I mean? And you know, but again, man, we talking about culture, we talking about resources. You know, black people, man, black America, blacks in America, black people in America. There is no black America, but black people in America have always been disenfranchised, no matter what it was that they created. You know.
Yeah, I just, you know, for me, the black man has inhabited every part of the planet before there was a thought of a white man.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I don't know.
Whether you was on the island of Puerto Rico, whether you was on the island of what we call currently Jamaica, whether you was on
I don't know what
like,
I don't know what we're talking about.
Like,
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Right.
I don't know what we're talking
It
about.
don't make sense to me to even question.
I don't know what we're talking about. You know, I say all the time, black people were everywhere before anyone else was anywhere. You know, and that's just a fact. It's just a fact. I mean, but it's irrelevant to this conversation. It's irrelevant. You know, again, the reality of now, where we're at, what we're doing, where we're going, where do we go from here? You know, what are we going to do? You know, it's a lot, like you said, there's a lot going on. You know, the U.S. is over. The American empire is over. It's a wrap. You know, so what do we do? What do we do in this context? You know, understanding where the world is going. We're seeing right now the recolonization of Africa, the new scramble for Africa, you know, being unleashed right now. You know, so black people are again about to end up exactly where we were in the late 1800s. Yeah. like you talk about the late 1900s, the late 1800s. We're about to revisit the late 1800s. You know, where you stand. You know, where you stand. You know, what are we doing? What are we doing? What's our pivot? You know, what's our plan? You know, and again, it ain't gonna be everybody. It ain't gonna be everybody, man. You're gonna have to get with the heads that's gonna build and build. You know, it's always been the case. You know, it's not gonna be a group epiphany. It's not gonna be 40 million black people waking up and saying, "Hey, we need to move." You know, because if an external threat is the only thing that's going to mobilize you to do what you need to do for yourself,
Say that again.
You're already doomed. If an external threat is the only thing that can move you to do what you need to do for you and your community, then you're already doomed. It's a wrap, you know.
Wow. Hey, I can't even argue that point. It starts with self. People talk about government. I'm like, man, the first government is family. So if you're not governing your family, you lost already.
First government, first business, first church, first school.
It's family, and
Family.
families are broken. And we're not talking about marriage. We're talking about just us as people relating to ourselves in familial ways, down to the core has been broken.
Look, everybody out here, look, every group, you know what I mean? Every group out here got large segments of their populations who are struggling, right? Even white America.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? A lot of white people out here at the bottom of shit, right? The majority of white people are at the bottom of shit.
At the bottom.
Right? But the difference is those who are in the lead, those who control the power structure, just so happen to be white people, right? Mm-hmm. So when they build infrastructure, when they build institutions, when they build life-sustaining institutions, the white citizen becomes the default citizen by default.
Absolutely.
By default. We haven't established any of those life-sustaining institutions where we are the default citizen. So that's the difference. That's the difference here. We need to look inward and do some things, but for the most part, it's only gonna happen if a handful of heads, man. Handful of heads. And when I say handful, I mean a handful. I mean a handful.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 to 3.
Is anybody you'd like to shout out? Anybody to take notes from?
No, I don't. I ain't trying to get nobody shot. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to get nobody shot. I'm not trying to get put nobody on the radar for doing anything. You can't even say, it's like when you talk about political systems and capitalism and socialism or as Kwame Nkrumah would say, scientific socialism and what's needed and required, people start looking at you like the narratives, man, the narratives that come around. I'm just not in a place where I'm trying to convince anybody of nothing anymore. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything anymore at all. Just build, do what you're going to do, establish what you need to establish, create what you want to see in the world, and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? I'm not there. I'm not the messenger anymore. I'm not the messenger anymore. I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm someplace else in my reasoning. I'm somewhere else in my strategy. Because there's a lot of dumb shit out here. A lot of people doing a lot of dumb shit out here. And I just don't want to get caught up in the fray, in those conversations where heads going back and forth over simple shit. Just not where I'm at.
Yeah, understood. Man, so musically, what's going on with you? I mean, you always got hot something cooking, and I've seen you perform, and it's always next level. One of the dopest MCs to ever touch a mic. Don't get it twisted.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you coming from you. That means something.
Yeah. What? Wise Intelligent got bars for days. So what's going on? You got anything new you recorded that you're gonna bless people with?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have so much work, man. I got so much work. I got a record, a joint that I just finished. It's being mixed right now. The album is called Lyrical Literature. And it's produced by the guy, Miguel, Moods and Vibrations. It's lyrical. It's lyrical literature. is literally lyrical literature. Pardon the alliteration, but
Hey, give it the poetry. Come on, that's
you
what you
know,
do. It's a poet.
yes, so that's cooking. I'm working on another project right now. I just recorded a few joints from another project that I'm doing, another album I'm doing with produced by my brother Masada. It's crazy. Masada's the illest. Masada's the illest, man. You know, if you don't follow Masada NPC on Instagram, you have no idea. You know, if you want to know why your Akai drum machine sound like it sound, follow Masada NPC. You understand.
Right.
He's a whole scientist. But just working on projects, man. I got so much music in the cut. You know, like I got music that people just haven't heard that I never released. I pulled all my music off the streaming platforms. You know, just over that. You know, but yeah, I got a lot of music, man. I got a lot of music.
All right, so funny you said that. You know, I was struggling a year ago because I was releasing new music, and I was like, man, I don't want to put it on Spotify. I don't want to put it on none of these streaming platforms. Fuck that. It's a waste of time. The niggas ain't paying. We just feeding the beast. What are we doing? We should be direct to consumer. Everything should be available from our website, HAKIMGreen.com, MadismInc.com, y'all. No doubt. Sorry for the plug. But direct to consumer was the way to go. And I saw an article this morning, Spotify being connected to private prisons and some other slave shit. But the whole concept of pulling your shit from the streaming platforms because we be feeding the beast. Yeah, it's just interesting that you said that.
Yeah, I would rather give my music away to the people directly for free. You know, I would rather give my music away to the people for free than to have it on a platform like Spotify or any other of the other ones. You know, and that's just how I see it. You know, I'm over all that. You know, but I got tons of music, man. I got tons of music. I got albums that heads haven't even heard. And, you know, in a box set, I recorded like 6 albums. The Palm Chomsky album is the 6th in a series of 7. So the Palm Chomsky album the series is called Back to School. So first period was the talented Timothy Taylor. You know, so I'm these alter egos on each one. You know, I'm reinventing myself on each one. So the first period was the talent, Wise Intelligent is the talented Timothy Taylor. Second period, Wise Intelligent is Jesus Jones. Third period, Wise Intelligent is El Negro Guerrero, the Black Warrior. Fourth period, Wise Intelligent is Stevie Bonneville Wallace. And fifth period, Wise Intelligent is Ponzi, which was my childhood name. That's what they used to call me around the way when I was a kid. You know, Ponzi, that's what I used to tag, Ponzie. You know, and then the sixth period. The sixth period is Wise Intelligent is Poem Chomsky, right? So, and then seventh period is done. I just need to shoot the cover, get the cover done. However I'm going to do the cover, I don't know yet. But and yeah, and that'll complete that series. It's a series of 7 periods. You know, back to school.
Conceptual.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in between those, I was releasing albums like in between. These were like albums that I would call them like recess. Like, so I had Blessed Be the Poor, you know, which was like 19 tracks on that. And then I did the Blue Klux Klan. The Blue Klux Klan, every song on there is about fuck the police. Every song is some police story. You know, I did then I paired up with Ginsu Dean on a joint that he produced of me called G.O.D., Game of Death. So we did that joint. You know, so I'm doing joints. I've been doing joints in between the box set as well. So it's probably a total of about probably a total of about not 10, 11 projects.
Nice.
12 projects. They were on the streaming platform. Some of them were on the streaming platforms. I pulled them all off. And now, but you can stream them on the Algorithm app. The Algorithm app is OWLGORHYTHM. Algorithm.
One more time.
OWL Al Go Go and Rhythm RHYTHM. Algorithm. The Algorithm app is available in Apple Store, Google Play. But you can stream the albums there.
There we go. OWLGORHYTHM.
Yes, sir. And all the videos are on there. And I put stuff there first, so stuff ends up on the Algorithm app first. Before it hit IG, before it hits YouTube, before it hits Instagram or Facebook or wherever, it is there first.
Nice. Exactly. Go direct to the source. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, man, music. I got music. I got music. I got some music. I write every day. I still write every day.
I need to get on my Dean. Who's the most influential MC outside of yourself? Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Who's the most influential MC on you?
Well, like I said, it would be the local MCs first. First and foremost, it would be the local MCs that had the most immediate impact and influence on me. So once you get outside of Trenton, and we're talking about mainstream, not even mainstream, but just that's just the dope MCs, man. It's about 5 of them.
Okay.
Chuck D, Public Enemy, De La Soul, Posse, True Boy.
Rest in peace, Dave.
Yeah, Rakim, of course. Cool Keith.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool Keith is righteous.
Those them guys right there. Those the guys. Those the guys that had the influence. Those the guys that had the most influence. And KRS One.
Yeah.
Coming up, listening to hip hop. Those were the MCs that it was a diverse pool of MCs. Those are MCs I felt like were pushing the envelope. They were pushing the envelope, on lyricism, on bravado, on confidence, on community, so that was it. You know what I mean? That was it. And I and swag, man, and just how you present a rhyme. Cool Keith.
Crazy.
Cool Keith, Ultramagnetic.
Crazy. So you talking about Ultramagnetic dropped in what, 86?
Yeah, I think Critical Beatdown was 88, wasn't it? The album.
It was 88.
I don't know. They probably came out 86, but I don't know if that album.
Well, even better, because I think 88 is the greatest year of hip hop history. That's in my opinion.
That's a fact.
It's 88.
That's a fact. I don't think that can be disputed.
Right.
I don't even think that can be disputed.
So everybody from that era right there, for me, just got a little advantage over everybody else in the history of the shit. Especially because I'm like, you talking about 17, 18, 19, 20, that little gap right there where you crossing over into kind of manhood, you kind of, they represented our voice for us. in a major, major way. Everybody you name. Plus, I would add in there probably a LL, a Kane, G-Rap, Slick Rick. But
Everybody.
that era right there, it grew us up. It grew us up. And every era
Absolutely.
has their 5 MCs is different because of the impact of where you was at, how you was kind of understanding the world around you, and the MCs who represent you saw yourself in. Kane was the dopest rapper in 1988 for me. That's for me.
Kane, man. Kane is still. Oh, I can't believe what
Man,
easily. Kane is
he
still.
just did the joint. The joint that what's it called? The Brooklyn joint.
Brooklyn joint with Bus and Pos. With Papoose, right? It's Papoose, Buster, MOP. That joint, fire.
I love that shit. Yeah. Like I actually like a lot of the new shit by the elder statesmen. I like LL joint. I'm sorry, I like that shit. That album was dope.
I haven't heard the album. I haven't heard the whole album.
He has some joints in there. It's LL. So for LL, that shit was hot. And that's no disrespect because it was dope. But the Red Man album was a dope contribution.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, that was a dope contribution.
That's
you got the Mobb Deep album that's out right now. Nas and Premier is now working on a joint. Who else you got out there still making hot music? And it's like I always say, artists create art. There's this idea that after 40, you should hang the mic up and retire and do other things. I think that shit's so disrespectful. Like, and not just because I'm a rapper, MC, it's because artists create art. You tell an artist not to create art. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
Exactly. All right.
The only reason that's happened is because we're black. That's more proof that it's black music.
But it be us doing it. That's
black music. Because if it wasn't black music, that would not be the case. If it was, it's only the case because it's black music. That's absolutely it. That's the only reason that's even. For example, "Fight the Power," right? "Fight the Power" is "Fight the Power," a kid's song. Is "Fight the Power" a song for adolescents only, or is "Fight the Power" a cultural awareness that needs to be implemented today? That's something that needs to be said today. "Fight the Power" need to be playing on the radio today, right? But I did a record called Genocide, right? I did a record called Genocide some years ago. And that record is the subject matter where I'm detailing how the CIA moved cocaine into the community and then set up prison industrial complex. I break down the whole scenario, the Sandinistas, the Contras. I break down the whole scenario in a rap song, in a rap record. Is that childish or immature, or is that something that should not be consumed by adults? It's stupid. It's stupid. And that's what I mean. That's the proof that it's black music, because if it wasn't black music, they would not be saying, no one would be saying that. Not even the black people who say it. Not even the black people who say it would be saying it if it wasn't black people. If it was someone else, it wouldn't even be the case. And that's what would, hey. But hey. Yeah. But hey, listen, in 1989, 90, when Poor Righteous Teachers dropped, Hez was perceiving our position, our political position, like we were sounding like their parents.
Oh, I know.
Right? Like we were sounding like their parents. It's like we're saying things that a parent would say.
Right.
At 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. Right? But somehow hip hop and rap music and lyricism and something that has to have a cap on it you know, as if the messaging has an expiration date. You know,
because
I
the
understand.
goal is to walk around adults and speak directly to the children. Like you don't want adult messaging, quote unquote, in music, mature messaging in music, because the target audience are children
In whose music?
in our music.
In black music.
Black right now it
In
is.
black music.
Right, right.
Right. In black music. Because Green Day all day can make American Idiot. And, you know, they can make American Idiot all day. You know, songs like Propaganda Pie can be made by white groups. Right? They can make those songs all day. And no one ever say they need to stop doing that. They need
Nope.
to, they're 40 years old. They need to stop. Nobody ever saying that, you know. But because it's black music, it has to be diminished. It has to be degraded by the fault of who's making it. We're the target for degradation.
Yeah,
We the niggas
absolutely.
you love to hate, as Ice Cube would say. You know, we the niggas you love to hate. But
Yeah,
that's what it is. You know, that's what it
yeah.
is. But
Well,
you
yeah, I
know,
just it's for me. It's good to get pushback on that because I don't, that's just
yeah. I mean,
it's ridiculous to me. I think people need to stop.
it's you know, I mean, yeah,
We
man.
should make all forms of art. We should make
Yeah,
music. We should make film. We should write books. We should do everything and anything our hearts desire as long as we keep it home.
yeah. You know, and I think subject matter is important.
Yes.
You know, I think subject matter is important. You know what I mean? I don't like to hear a 40-year-old, 40-plus-year-old talking about crack and flipping birds and girl twerk your ass and pop that. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear none of that. I don't even want to hear a 40-plus-year-old talking about materialism. You know, I'm not even interested in that conversation. You know, I'm not. You know,
Yeah,
but
I'm done with everybody with that.
but there may be
Myself.
somebody that want to listen to it. You know, what I mean, it's just not me. You know, but at the end of the day, yes, I think subject matter matters. You know, you know what you're talking about. What are you saying? You know, what are you saying? You know, you still trying to be the toughest kid in the sandbox. Then maybe you need to put the mic down. Maybe you need to hang up. Maybe you need to hang it up. Maybe you should put the mic down. You know, I don't know. You know, but you know, like the album, like I said, the album that I'm working on that's being mixed right now for 2026. I'm sure I'll get it out first quarter 2026, the latest. It's called Lyrical Literature.
Lyrical literature.
It's called lyrical literature, man. It's like it's an audio book. It's an audio book, man. You know, and that's how I write. That's how I write.
Yeah.
You know,
And what's your favorite composition? What,
my
like,
my
do you have a favorite?
favorite.
Do you have a piece that's like maybe everybody else don't even know it exists, but you're like that represents the highest level of wise intelligence in terms of expressing the idea, flow, cadence.
I don't. You know, I don't. I don't because every project. You know, I was somewhere else.
Mhm.
You know, every project I was somewhere else. So each one of them represent a moment, a time. You know, each one of them, time was created with the creating of each one of those albums. I created time, that moment, that event, because you know, time doesn't exist until an event occurs, right? So the time is created by the event. So when I created each project, I created time. I created that time, that moment, and it was based on what I was seeing, feeling, what was going on in my world, you know, from the inside out. And so each one of them have a place. You
Yeah,
know, each one of them have a place. You know, and you know, but I will say that as a writer, you know, and a creative, I've gotten progressively better. You know, I feel like, I guess from writing all the time. I mean, I'm always writing rhymes. I'm always in my head. So I've gotten progressively better. I think that I'm better at expressing my thoughts and ideas today than I was 30 years ago. You know, I will say that, you know, I'm clearer on a lot of things. You know, I'm clearer on a lot of things. So it makes for better writing for me, you know.
Right.
But I like all the records, man. I like all the records. You know, they all reflect something. Like I said, like the box set, the series, it's different personalities, like it's all to ego, each one, because each one of them reflects a state of mind I was in at the time. You know, my state of consciousness at the juncture. But you know, the talented Timothy Taylor got some records on there that are very near and dear to me. You know, there's a song on there, record called "Passing the Time." You know, about my mother. You know, so that one right there, that resonates. Another Chance at Life, you know, records like that. That's all on the talented Timothy Taylor record. Go With Me, you know, where on that record I delve in. It's a little more personal than any of the other records I've ever written. You know, so.
Okay. Man. Bruh, I appreciate you, God.
You know, the sentiment is mutual, reciprocal.
You know, it's like, you know, it's a lot of our conversation we've had over and over and over again. So I already know how you feel. So it's kind of hard asking you questions that we haven't either discussed before, or at the end of the day don't end up being just a silly question. Because one, I already know how you feel. And two, we got so much work to do as a community. Lord have mercy. But, you know, over the last 30 some odd years, I watched you represent, you know, the possibilities of where we could be, you know, as MCs, as artists, as community leaders, as men. You know, you just represent a certain vibration that everybody needs to tap into, because you got that work. And yeah, I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you, man. You know what I mean? And everything that you do on and off the mic, on the podcast, off the podcast, you know, the community work, you know, because people think that that work is not being done, you know, and sometimes we talk like as if it's not being done, you know, like as if work is not being done, you know, the conversations around, you know, violence in the community, you know, people like to inject certain myths, you know, around Black people and our response to violence, you know, as if we're not the stop the violence community of the United States. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and when, you know, people say it all the time, you know, and they usually say it when there's a protest around someone Black being killed, being murdered by a police officer, or, you know, or some 76-year-old white man shooting a 13-year-old Black kid, you know, and the response that we have, they say, oh, well, why don't Black people protest when Black people kill Black people? And I'm like, why should we, when the Black person always gets locked up for killing the Black person? It's like, there's no need for protests when a Black person is being locked up. You know, justice is going to be served. We're sure y'all going to prosecute that Black person to the fullest extent of the law. However, you know, that white person didn't get arrested. That white cop didn't get arrested. You know, so that's what the protest for. The protest is about an injustice. You know, and then we are in the community. We camping out in the community. We doing 24 hours of peace.
Yep.
Weeks, like a 4 day week of engaging the community on these issues, right? And that's across the country. You know, that's across the country. There's camp out, sit-ins, there's organizations in the community, you know, marching and setting up speakers on the corners, camping out. You know,
And not
in the
just
trenches.
not,
In the
not
trenches.
just camping out to be out there, but camping out
Yes.
for there to be engagement
In building, yes,
and
in building
building
with the
and
community,
services that are available to people.
yes,
Yeah,
around these issues, and when people say that, and I see a lot of black people co-signing these statements, and I'm like, wait a minute, what community do you live in? Because you're obviously not a part of any community organization.
yeah,
You haven't been around or involved in anything in the community at all to make those assertions, because we're out here, the people are out here all the time. Go to your community, join an organization, become a part of some type of movement, become a part of the community, join something, do something, and then you won't be saying dumb shit all the time, pathologizing black people,
yeah.
but
But I gotta just
yeah,
want to throw out a suggestion for people: a small book club. Meet once every 4 months. Read a book. Come together. 15, 20 people. Do that for a year, and then go to the city council meeting and see how much power you got.
right, right. Let's start the book club.
Yeah, we need resources though. For instance, 24 hours apiece, they got to get funded. And it's not just 24 hours apiece, but more importantly, it's the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery and Brick City Peace Collective, which do that year work every single day. 24 hours apiece is just a concert. It's a commercial, I call it. But the real work is done by real people. I look at myself, I'm an entertainer, I'm a rapper. I pick a fight, I pick what I want to represent. But at the end of the day, they're professionals who actually do this work. And whether they be in the public sector, private sector, or just community on the ground, grassroots, people need services, people need resources, people need funding, people need sustenance. And however we got to do that, it got to get done. It can only get done through organization. But all Black city need to control all Black resources.
Absolutely, the resource capture movements. That's what I do in the community space. I develop programs and initiatives and implement them in the community. Around resource capture, the resources that are already in the community, like the cultural arts resources, for
Yeah.
example. Music programming and teaching young people how to monetize that resource. Don't even take it to nobody else. Don't take it outside of your community. Launch it from where we stand and control it. And we need to do that with all of the cultural resources, all of the monetary resources, whatever we have, in our communities, whatever resources we have, we need to capture those resources and develop them to where they benefit the community. It's something that we do with our nonprofit. You know, um, boss up. You know, uh, be the boss of you're the boss of your life.
Yeah.
Your life is your first business.
But
It's your business. Mind your business. You're your first business. You're the boss of your life. And that's what we do. We teach young people. We help young people. Find their way, how to gain control of the resource that is the self. And that's key, man. I think that's key. So what happens is, young people that's in the trenches, that's going through things. You find youth in matriculation programs where they're coming back into the neighborhoods, things of that nature. Take those youth and build with them and build enterprise with them. Teach them how to build things they want to do, businesses, small businesses. Let them set up the small business. Show them how it works. How to do it. Get it launched. Around CPGs, things of that nature, consumer packaged goods. Teaching young people how to develop consumer packaged goods for the community. That can service the community. You walk in a corner store. We got 300 to 500 products in the corner store, and we don't produce any of them. We don't produce any of what we're consuming in there. We don't even control the retail anymore. The corner store is no longer owned by Lamar anymore. Uncle Lamar don't own the corner store no more. So we're not controlling the retail. We're not controlling the the products that are being sold and consumed in the space. We don't control anything in the supply chain and logistics, of those products. So, you know, there's a lot of work to be done, but there's a lot that we can do. We just have to do it.
Yeah.
We just have to do it. We have to be committed to doing it. And I don't. A lot of people are just not. So I don't even consider that. I just go. I just move. I'm just doing what I'm doing. Critique it from over there.
Yeah.
Critique it from over there. Say what you're gonna say. Whatever you say. I don't care about all that. But at the end of the day, like you said, the resources. We have resources in the community. We have resources in the community. Those resources are just not being captured and developed for the benefit of the community and the group. They're being extracted, pretty much.
Yeah.
So how do we put a plug in that and don't allow the resources to be extracted from the community without the community benefiting or developing life-sustaining institutions that are usward, from the monetization of the resources? We need to be on that type of time, and any politician in our neighborhoods need to be on that type of time, unapologetically. Unapologetically. We're paying taxes like everybody else.
That's right.
Paying taxes, you know what I mean? We're doing a lot.
Yeah. and that's the thing, because we need to do everything, right? It's not one thing. And people, I think, get it twisted with our engagement with quote unquote government. It's not that government is supposed to answer questions. We're supposed to make them answer questions. And if your government don't represent you, then you remove them, you replace them. But you have to start your own government on an even more local level. So when you go see people, there's a hierarchy, there's a structure, whether it's private or public. You got to go work the channels of government because you're paying taxes, and you deserve to be invested in. The number one resource is human resource. And if you don't invest in human resource, everything else is going to collapse. That's how I think.
I think that's their goal. I think they're reinventing collapse. I think that's what they want. My thing is, how do we put ourselves in a position to survive the collapse, to endure the collapse, to absorb the blowback from it, because that's where they're going. All roads are leading to that. All roads are leading to it, because how they do, change through contrived crisis.
Yeah.
They create crisis.
Problem reaction solution.
Absolutely. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Absolutely. That's how they move, and we see it. We see it. And a lot of people, are going to be devastated behind where they're going right now. We got to get on our shit.
Yeah.
We got to get on it. We got to accelerate it.
So you've been working with water, talking about resources. You have a water company, no?
YZ.
YZ has the water company. I
Water
thought you
party.
guys were working together.
Water party. Yeah. Water party.
Yeah. Water
party. Pride Roll, Hibiscus Heaven, Water Party, bottled beverages, bottling company, Georgia Independent Bottlers, is a real thing. It's a real thing,
Absolutely. I've had it myself.
Quench
my thirst thoroughly. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, man. And they make the best lemonades, teas you'll ever experience. I kid you not. I'm not even.
That's brother YZ.
Not even playing. Not exactly. And the brother Najib over in Atlanta, in the Atlanta Metro.
Right. And then you've also done work with Rap Snacks, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. You talk about that?
Yeah, I serve I serve as president CEO of the Rap Snacks Foundation. You know, where again we develop programs and initiatives around entrepreneurship and cultural resource capture. You know, resource capture in general. You know, and out of that, it's various things we do: music programs, art and culture programs. You know, the brothers, shout out to Claude Whitfield, Charlotte, North Carolina, with Backspins program where take young people from creating the art to understanding how the different lanes for monetization or career pathways in the arts. You know, because you know you can't teach hip hop. You know, it's something I don't think you can teach. You can't teach creativity. I think people are just naturally creatives. You know, and you know, but how many businesses are associated with an MC? You know,
Right.
it's several. There's a plethora of career pathways associated with a single rapper. You know,
Right.
so when youth are coming into the space, you know, they're thinking the MC, you know, the rapper. You know, I want to rap. I want to rap. But going through the program like that, you start seeing other career pathways that resonate with you more than the MC. You realize that, hey, I'm not an MC, but I can definitely market this MC. I can definitely do the marketing for this MC. I know how to get this MC where it need to go. I need to bring some attention to it. You know, so you discover what resonates with you in that space. You know, so we're launching a platform called Cream, which is about resource capture. You know, it's a resource capture platform for music. You know, where young people own everything. They own everything. They control the monetization in the different lanes for the scale of the music. So they produce the music, they write it, they produce it, they perform it, they package it, they sell it. You know, and it's a community of it. You know,
Wow. What are the ages? You want me asking?
high school
High school. Okay.
students. You know, just doing a bunch of things like that. Working with young people in South Florida. You know, Florida City, Miami proper, North Miami. You know, same thing, same types of initiatives around helping youth find their lane. You know, helping them find their lane and keeping them connected to the community. You know, doing it as a community. You know.
Yeah, I got a saying, hip hop ain't what we do, it's how we do it. So it's not about rocking the mic, it's not about breakdancing, not about DJing. It's about how we do those things and then how we communicate with each other, how we network with each other, how we build each other. It's an energy, it's a vibe, it's a space. So it's important to have hip hop market hip hop promote hip hop. Hip hop. You gonna say?
It's a creative orientation. You know, it's the creative orientation. Hip hop is the creative orientation. So the same processes that we use for creating hip hop music can be applied anywhere else in our lives. You know, because it's the creative orientation. So we're using that process to create what we want to see exist in the world. You know, what results do we want in the world? What results do we want to see? You know, what do I want? You know, those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. What do I want to see in the world? Do I want to create? You know, and just create. You know, and from this vantage point, from the creative orientation, we're not responding to circumstances. We're just creating what we want to see exist in the world. You know, we're not oscillating between the reactive and responsive orientation. We're not functioning in survival mode. We're just creating. We're not problem solving. We're not trying to solve a problem. We're trying to create what we want to see exist in the world. You know, and by doing that, we move ourselves out of that underlying structure that keeps us oscillating, right? Keeps us oscillating between the reactive and the responsive, reacting, responsive, conforming and resisting, conforming and resisting. You know, that's that structural conflict. And the way you get outside of that structural conflict is by creating what you want to see exist in the world. Deciding what results you want. What do I want to see? What do I want? And then creating that. And that's how I aim to orient young people, that I build with, every day. Just what are we creating today?
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a great way to go out. That was dope. Once again, I appreciate you. This is the Hakeem Green Show. It's Wise Intelligent. Let them know where to get at you, bro.
Man, Wise Intelligent on all platforms. Wise Intelligent, just like you see it on the box right there, the way you would see it in the dictionary. IG Wise Intelligent, Facebook Wise Intelligent, Twitter Wise Intelligent, website wiseintelligent.com, the app, the algorithm app. You can download that. All the links are on my Instagram page to access all of that. So yeah, that's how you get me.
Yeah, man. Peace, my guy. I holla.
Peace.
Salute. Yeah, y'all know what it is. Hakeem Green, the Hakeem Green Show. See me at HakimGreen.com, MadismInc.com, 24hoursofpeaceinc.com. Peace, y'all.